Let's see how to do this kind of problem. So what we will do is plug that number in for all of the x's, and then we will plug in this number for each of the y's. And then we'll just evaluate the expression. So here's how it goes. We get 8 squared minus 4 over 8 plus 3 times 4. Now, when you are plugging numbers in for variables, sometimes it is necessary to put parentheses around those numbers. Sometimes it is not. However, it will never be wrong if you do it. In this case, I don't need to put any parentheses in, but if I put them in, it won't be wrong. So I simplify the numerator, and in the numerator I have exponent and subtraction to do. So I will do exponent first, and then the subtraction, and the numerator is completely simplified. The denominator has addition and multiplication to do. I will do the multiplication first, and then the addition. Now that the numerator and denominator are both completely simplified, I will combine them as appropriate. 60 divided by 20 is 3, and the problem is complete. Now, what about dividing by 0 or into 0? It makes a difference, and you can always check this on your calculator. So when you are dividing by 0, it turns out it doesn't work. This symbol here means no solution, or you can just say no solution. That's an N there. You can think of it this way. If you have, for example, a pie cut into 6 pieces, and all of it gets eaten, then that means you got 0 out of 6 pieces, or 0% of the pie. Now, although that's not preferable for your stomach, that does make sense mathematically. On the contrary, if you got 6 pieces out of 0 pieces available, well, that doesn't make any sense. You got something out of nothing, and so no solution. So that's why division by 0, or 0 in the denominator of a fraction, does not work. Now, this second problem here is a little different. That could be rewritten as 0 over 3. You don't have to do that, but I felt like it. So in this case, we explicitly see that we are not dividing by 0. The 0 is not in the denominator. This problem is more like the 0 over 6 problem. Therefore, the answer is just 0. So when it's 0 divided by something, the answer is 0. But when you are dividing by 0, there's no solution. So how do we divide by a fraction? That's an amazing question. First, we have to turn the problem into a multiplication problem. So I will write the negative 15 as negative 15 over 1. I will rewrite it as a fraction. So now, to turn this division into multiplication, I take the reciprocal of the second fraction, or I flip the second fraction over, and that makes the division become multiplication. Now at this point, I cancel whatever I can. I cannot do any canceling beforehand, because to do canceling from one fraction to another, you must have multiplication in the middle. I see that 3 is a factor of 15 and of 3. 3 divides into 3 once, and 3 divides into 15 5 times. So now, when I multiply, I get negative 5 times 4 is negative 20, and 1 times 1 is just 1, so this simplifies to negative 20. And that's how it's done. Now let's see how to handle exponents in conjunction with negative signs and parentheses. In this first problem, it's negative 4 multiplied by itself 3 times. Well, the first two negative 4s multiplied together give us 16. And the last negative 4 is still floating around. And then 16 times negative 4 takes us back to a negative number, in fact, negative 64. That is how it is done the slow way. On the second problem, notice that the negative sign is not inside the parentheses. Therefore, it is not affected by the exponent. So it will be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 with the negative sign out in front. So because the negative sign is not inside the parentheses, it's not going to be negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So instead, we'll have negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, and we still have a pair of 2's left over. And negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And we still have that last 2 remaining. And we multiply it out, and we get negative 16. Contrast that with this problem. On this problem, with the negative sign inside the parentheses, we would get negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which turns out to be positive 16. So that's how it works. So one question remains, how come on the first problem, when the negative sign was also inside the parentheses, we still got a negative answer? That was because the exponent was odd. So we had an odd number of factors multiplied together. But on the last one we did, there was an even number of factors multiplied together. And if you multiply an even number of negative numbers together, you get a positive. As we do the order of operations on this problem, we will need, once again, to follow the order of operations, which, as we have seen in the past, is work inside parentheses first, then do the exponents, then the multiplications and divisions simultaneously, and then the additions and subtractions simultaneously. So there are two sets of parentheses. Working from left to right, I'll tackle the first set. And inside of that set of parentheses, there's only one thing to do. It's multiplication, so I'll do it. But, well, I'll just do it. So that would be negative and then 6 squared plus negative 1 minus 4 squared. I'm going to do just one thing on each step. That will make it more difficult to get it wrong or to get lost. So what is inside this set of parentheses is completely simplified. So I will move on to the other set of parentheses, and there's only one thing to do in there. So I'll do that subtraction. Negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. Now, everything inside the two sets of parentheses is completely simplified, so we can work outside the parentheses and move on toward exponents. Are there any exponents? Yes, there are. I'll do them from left to right. The first one says 6 squared and then a negative sign out in front, or the opposite of 6 squared. So that would be negative 36 because the negative sign is not inside of the parentheses. Working from left to right, I now tackle the second exponent. And negative 5 squared is a positive 25. This time it's positive because the negative is on the inside of the parentheses. So we've taken care of parentheses, exponents. Turns out there are no multiplications or divisions, and there's only one thing left to do, and that's addition. Negative 36 plus 25 is negative 11, and that's how it is done. So just make sure you follow the order of operations really, really well.